Welcome to the Life Is podcast, where creativity, culture, mindset, and intentional living come together through real conversation. I'm your host, Corey Brown. Each week, I sit down with entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, travelers, and visionaries who didn't stumble into a life they love, they built it. We go deep into how they think, how they reconstructed themselves, and what became possible on the other side. This is not just about what people have accomplished. It's about the internal work that made it sustainable. Because when you build from the inside out, life expands. Let's get into it. This week, I'm sitting down with someone who has been building something from scratch, stitch by stitch, show by show, platform by platform, for over a decade. DW is the designer behind DW Styles, a fashion brand rooted right here in South Bend and reaching the world. He was not trained at a fashion school. He did not have industry connections. He taught himself to sew in a boutique his wife helped fund, waiting patiently while the world caught up to the idea of a black male designer, and eventually walked into New York Fashion Week and felt for the first time that he was exactly where he was supposed to be. His story is not about fashion. It is about a person who trusted a vision nobody else could see yet and built it with his hands anyway. Here's what that looked like. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Life Is podcast, hosted by myself, Corey Brown. And today, I have a very special person, Darius White, with us today. As I know him as DW, join the Life Is podcast. We're going to share about his story, his journey through fashion, and kind of how he built his brand, the journey behind the scenes, of what it took to really get there. But for those who don't know DW, he's an entrepreneur and a fashion designer, self-taught fashion designer, and someone who's also local here from South Bend. And just super excited to have you on, DW. Really, just like I said, talk about your journey and what you're doing now. So before we kind of get going, I always like kind of set the stage and just welcome to the show and, ask you how you're doing, how you're feeling.
Doing well, man. Can't complain. No complaints.
That's what's up, man. I love it. I love it. Well, man, as we get going to the podcast, man, we got a packed layout of questions for you that I think are going to be great for those who are tuning in, for those who are listening, who will watch this when this comes out. But before we get to anything, DW, if you can, for everyone just hearing in, you tell the people who you are, where you came from, what DW Styles is, and what's brought you up to this point.
Yeah, so my name is Darius White. My personality brand is DW Styles. My clothing brand is Christo Jabari. It means Christ is supreme ruler in Swahili. It's very dear to my heart. My godmom kind of gave me that name back in the day. She gave me like this whole pamphlet of names, and she was like, pick out something that's meaningful. So that's pretty meaningful to me. I mean, Christ is my center. So that's kind of how I move. I'm originally from Benton Harbor, Michigan, born and raised. I moved to South Bend years ago, and then I started uh, a wardrobe styling brand, which is why I started up DW Styles. Am I still connected?
Say it again.
Am I still connected? Yeah.
Yes, it's a little bit in and out. Yeah, there we go. It's a little bit in and out there.
Okay. So DW Styles was started with my actual wardrobe styling business that I started years ago, working with artists in South Bend, and then I curated a clothing line after that. I self-taught myself
Mm-hmm.
how to sew, and then I moved from there, and I've been traveling and selling clothes and doing retail and different things of that nature. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the introduction and give me an idea of kind of what you do, where you came from, and what you're doing now. And actually, speaking of your fashion, man, that's exactly where I want to lead into is really the kid, because you started as we spoke offline when you were 12, where it kind of all started with your fashion. So
Yeah.
obviously, you started at a young age, and really not from conventional sense, if you will, right? You didn't really admire any designer or celebrity um, that you wanted to dress like. You really kind of just need a personal awareness of cuts, silhouette, and how clothing fits different moments, which is really when I heard you speak. I think that was really unique from someone at a young age. What were you actually like seeing that other people were not seeing at that time?
Think as a young kid, I more so identify with events and places that you had to be that kind of
Mm-hmm.
streamline what you should really wear. And I was at a very young age, I think I identified with that. and that's what kind of led me towards fashion. I would know that I was going to a certain place and it would be like, maybe I shouldn't wear this, maybe I should wear that. Maybe if it was like a church service, maybe I should wear a Brooks Brothers suit, or maybe I should wear a three-piece or something like that. So I really was like identifying with that as a 12-year-old, which I didn't even think was big back then.
Mm.
But now I'm thinking in my
No,
mind
yeah.
like I was really already on this path.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What just curious too, like was there ever a time when you were young at that point that where you looked at something and thought, I could make something better than that, what I was seeing?
I don't know if I ever thought if I could make something like that, because I really like growing up, it was kind of taboo for me as a 12-year-old black male to be doing designs or designing clothes. So
Right, right.
I think maybe I have some suppressed memories of wanting to be a designer and not knowing, because
Yes.
after talking to some of my siblings, they say I used to walk around and say that, but I don't really remember that, nor do I identify with it. But if I walk past something right now today, I'll be like, yeah, I could have made that a little bit better. So
Mm,
I don't,
right,
so
right.
I would guess people personalities in my mind really don't change unless they want to. So I would guess I probably was walking around as a 12-year-old thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. Love it. So I want to move forward here. So my next question, right? Just speaking of like just your fashion at a young age and as you were kind of growing, yeah, you described your philosophy is like designing for the world, right? Not for a narrow customer, not for a
Uh,
specific demographic, but really for everyone, right? Which is really a enormous creative vision for someone at that point who had not yet built anything. I guess my question to you, DW, is like, where did that come from so early that you didn't want to like narrow yourself in?
Think so I've gone through several like business courses. I worked in retail for years, and fortunately I ended up working for this one company. I really won't say their name because this is about me. But I worked for a company, and their customer base was really everyone. So I used to tell people you can shop from the club to the church in here.
Yep,
So I always thought that
absolutely.
from the beginning, but I think I needed to identify with a brand that was more mass produced to really be confident in what I was saying. I don't think I have a customer base. The world is my customer. Like I build clothing for everyone.
Mhm.
I'm not just making a two-piece set for celebrity or something, because the everyday woman is gonna shop every day. So she's the person that got some issues with her with her shape and different things like that. So I'm really supplying clothing for her, not so much. Now would it be
Mhm.
great that a celebrity wears it? Yes, but that's at an event. That's a one-time thing. They may tag me, they may not tag me. So the thing is, I'm designing for the world at large, and my brand has went really, I mean, I don't really talk about it a lot, but my brand has been global. I got clothes in Ghana. I got clothes everywhere. People have worn
Jeez.
my clothes all over. And those were what people would say everyday people are. I got a therapist that wears my clothes to every one of her platforms, but she's an everyday person. To her
Yeah,
friends,
yeah,
she's an everyday person, but she wore my clothes in Dubai. So the thing is because of my philosophy and the way that I think, that I don't have a customer base, I'm led to different customers. And I don't think everybody
mhm.
thinks like that. So if I was to design just a urban clothing line, just urban individuals would buy that. That's not my thing.
Correct.
I'll create a piece, and if a male, female, or whoever want to wear it, if they buy it, that's my customer. I didn't make it for a woman. I didn't make it for a man. I made an outfit. So the thing is, whoever wants to wear it. So my brand doesn't really, at that aspect of it, it does not have an identity gender based. I think anybody can wear it.
Mm.
You just got to piece it together. And because of
Yep.
my work prior to this, I can style a woman in a man's suit. I can style a man in a man's suit. So the thing is if you buy a piece, then I can also articulate to you how to make that fluid in your clothing
Yeah, that's really good,
repertoire, or
man.
whatever word I want to use.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, you really kind of flip it on its head, right? Coming from a fashion
Yeah,
stereotypical, right, fashion world, it's very one specific kind of
very
silo.
one-dimensional.
And it's yeah, exactly. You're just like, look, I'm flipping on the head. Like I'm not arrested to any type of demographic, nothing. Like I'm serving
None
the
of
end
that.
use. with everybody,
No
which
boxes.
is true.
Yeah,
Yes. So I
no
want to talk
boxes.
about because speaking of your fashion, you really didn't even start until like your mid-20s, which you were telling me, right? You didn't build around. You didn't start like 24 or 26. So between 12 and like 24, you were
Mm.
kind of carrying this vision of internally um, wanting to become a fashion designer. What was that period like, or like what did you do while you were waiting in that in between?
Think while I was waiting, I think because I mean, you really got to think of who I am. I'm a 43 and a couple year old man, you know. So the thing is at that time it wasn't okay. And now you
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
kids and men. I mean, men are some of the biggest fashion houses. You got Pharrell that's over Louis Vuitton. You got the guy that did it before him, Virgil Tibbs. You got so
Yep, verbal.
it's so many different guys that's doing this now that really, when you think about it, are my age. You know, so they really have the same story. It was not acceptable.
Mhm.
So the thing is I went through something during the pandemic one time because I had a store forever and I had inventory and I stepped on my bottom step. And when I stepped on the step, it was like you were stockpiling. So if you ask me what I was doing, that was God talking to me, telling me that all the things you didn't
Mhm.
sell was stockpiling. So from 12 to 24, I was stockpiling. I got crazy ideas, things that, and some things I have seen. I have
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
like mainstream that I know that I drew out 10 and 15 years ago. And I can't really tell nobody that I'm going to say it on the podcast, but really, I got ideas that I drew out, which is really why I stopped drawing years ago. Because I was giving those things energy already. And if I don't do it fast enough, God gonna get it to somebody else. So the thing is I
Exactly.
would so in my stockpiling, I was also stagnated by fear. I didn't I was afraid of what people would say. "Oh, he gay," "Oh, he not," and I'm not saying nothing about
Mhm.
a gay person, but the thing is that wasn't my identity, but people would have labeled me that, and I wasn't okay
Right.
with that. I wasn't adult enough
Yeah.
to be labeled that or mature enough to take that label and still flip it and be okay. But now if you call me that, I'll be like, "Hey, nah, that's not really my cup of tea, but whatever, if that's your choice. If that's what you want to call me, just buy something from me."
Exactly.
So I don't really care now. But that would be from about 12 to 24. That's probably where I was stuck at.
Yeah, that's honest, man. I think for anyone who's in fashion, specifically black and brown folks, that's a challenge. That's a personal, as some of you wrestle with identity wise, like you said, that's not your identity, but you can still be felt by those words or those labels or what people
Right.
place on you. And then how you stand to that, like you said, being mature enough, confident enough, secure enough to be like, look, that's not me. And you can either distance yourself from those people or be like, look, that's water off my back. I'm just out here creating.
Right.
Your beliefs on me are not the reality of who I am. So,
Not at all.
I think that's I appreciate you sharing that because I think that's a real mental barrier, emotional things people go through, whether it's fashion or really any other industry. I'm sure there's others that people have to deal with. So I appreciate
Yeah.
the reality going on between that time. I wanna transition your DW actually to like really you building with your hands the boutique, the skepticism, really the self teaching of you kind of evolving and kind of taking this craft from formal training and now to this
Mhm.
block design going. So speaking of 2020, right? You talked about COVID, things kind of shifted. You mentioned also your wife put a down payment and kind of funded your boutique where you taught yourself to
Yeah.
sew from 2015 to 2018. You spent
Yeah.
3 years in that space kind of learning, doing really not from like any curriculum, not from a formal training,
Mhm.
really just from fabric and repetition, right? From just feel. What did that specific kind of learning give you that a fashion school could not have gave you?
Think what it gave me, I mean, what that did for me not having traditional training, I think it gave me a sense of freedom because I didn't learn from patterns.
Mhm.
Like I didn't go get a macaw or I think it's McCaw's pattern or something. I didn't go to like a Joann's and buy a pattern like that. I literally sat down. My wife got tired of me talking about I wanted to be a designer. She went and purchased this space for my birthday. I was not in the headspace for it. I wasn't ready for it, but she was ready for me to be
Yeah, yeah,
ready. And she was like, do this. So I sat
exactly.
down there. I didn't have customers or anything. And I taught myself how to sew. I looked up YouTube things. Sometimes I just grab a piece of fabric and cut it out. And now it's the bet. Some of those, because I didn't learn from someone. I learned from like trial and error. So some of those put me in different
Yes.
spaces and allowed me to deal with different customers that I would never be able to deal with or make something for if I had learned from a pattern. Because first of all, I would have had to run to the store and buy a pattern. But I taught myself how to make them myself
Hmm.
off of people measurements. So it gave me a sense of freedom. And now in my mature age, I'm going to learn the technical skills from that, but I still have that freedom in my head because if the pattern doesn't call for it, I can create it myself. So it gave me a different sense of creativity, and I think freedom probably is the biggest thing because I would have been in this package of whatever I purchased, and now I'm really not. So I
Yeah,
think
you seen the other
I'm
side. Like you knew what's there.
say it again.
Yeah. I was saying you've seen the other side, right? Because you have so much freedom, you've seen what was possible and not in this boxed in area,
Definitely.
limiting that creativity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I'm just was curious, was there ever a moment where you actually realized like, hey, like you actually became really good at this, like really genuinely skilled at it? Was there a moment like you're like,
Realize that
I'm actually pretty good?
realize that every time I create something different, I'm not a person that ever thinks I have arrived. Life is never going to
Yes,
be
yes.
good enough for me. I think some people say that I say that to some people and they look at me like, then you don't show gratitude to what God has given you. It's not that, but he's infinite. And at the end of the day, if he allows me to live 80 years, what I did at 40 is not gonna be good enough for me at 60. You know what I'm saying? So I want something
Mhm.
different. So I always so I learn something every time. Like the other day, I was making some for a client in Grand Rapids, actually just yesterday, and I learned how to do something that really I didn't even learn it. In crunch time, I had done it before, but I actually learned the skill yesterday. But I've done this before. So the
Yeah.
thing is I'm
Right.
always learning, I'm always evolving, and I want that to be the rest of my life. I never want to be like I think just because my name is global that I'm it. No, I'm stepping in a new lane at that point. I'm trying to do something different. So if I conquer the
Yeah, you
fashion
want to keep on.
industry, if I conquer the fashion industry, maybe I'm gonna go to landscaping or something. Maybe I'll build my son's business or help my wife build her business. But I'll never feel like that I've learned it all. It's too much information in the world.
Yeah. Eh, Honestly, that's a good way to look at it. I think there's a phrase like the more you know, the less you know, right? And really in short, but I think it's a good disposition to have because you're right, man. You can never just feel like you arrived, you got there. There's so much we don't know, right? There's so many skills and lessons that you can develop along the way, even when you think you got there, like you said.
Yeah.
Um, and to keep that mindset is, in my opinion, I would say, a winner's mindset. Just someone who's always looking to evolve. They want to get better. They know
Uh-huh.
it's not complete. You're always
I
learning.
don't I never want to be pious or pompous, like, like I just got it.
Yes.
That's not me. I'm a humble dude.
Hmm.
Like people, I walk in the room, they be like, "Hey, that's DW." I'm like, "Hey, it's Darius, chill out." I'm just here, like, "Hey, I'm another
But I'm
guy
a
in the
normal
room."
person.
I never want to be
Yeah.
that. I don't never want to be that person. That person. Do I want to have that purpose in life and be influential
Yes.
to different individuals? Yes, but I don't never want to carry that mindset like I'm it. Like that's never been me. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I even get uncomfortable sometimes. You know what I mean? When you hear that, it's like, no, look, I'm just me. I'm just showing up.
Right.
I'm not trying to
I
be
just
anything but
came to the
you.
party, man.
Yeah. So I want to take a step back a little bit because you kind of talked about it already in the beginning of the podcast, but you spoke about facing, criticism. Well, I wouldn't say criticism, more skepticism specifically as a black male designer and living a
Hmm.
time in a world that didn't caught or wasn't caught up to that identity of accepting black males fashion, right? You described kind of strategically waiting, um, rather than pushing up against that idea. I guess
Hmm.
what kind of patience or what did that actually patience kind of feel like when you were kind of living inside that of like, okay, I know where you're at in this time, but times haven't caught up to where I want to be or where I believe I'm at. If that makes sense.
So the thing is this is a nice statement to, I think, some to someone that really don't have anything going on from like birth. I remember people telling me like that boy before his time, like he an old soul. And the thing is you have to evolve to that person sometime chronologically for people to even see you that way. And the thing
Yes.
is that waiting is uncomfortable, but uncomfortable situations
Yeah.
are perfect, for growth and learning and everything. So I that was uncomfortable for me because I felt like I was this, like people know me, like I'm known before even sewing. Like before that, like in my
Yes.
city, people know me. But in South Bend, people know me. I've been here like 20 years, but to be walking around knowing that, nah, I got some designs in my head that will really hit, you know, that was uncomfortable. But sometimes you have to get to, everything is about timing and people think it's not, but it really is. If I had did some of this stuff before its time, it wouldn't have hit. It'd have been like, if you know anything about Dapper Dan, Dapper Dan was doing some of the coldest things in the 80s and the 90s.
Yep.
Cold. It took Gucci 30, 20, 25, 30 years to drop this man designs. Beyonce see it and the world go crazy. She like, that's Dapper Dance. But the thing is, he was before his time. And now he's 70
Yep.
some years old, living off of things that he created 30 years ago. Would have been nice to make money in that time frame and get through it, like instead of just the dope boys buying my stuff, or it would have been nice. But the thing is
Mhm.
to actually be able to live in the moment, for your pieces to be running currently, and then you're living in that moment. Like I make a line in my basement last year, and then go to New York Fashion Week in February. Like I feel like that's better. So yes, was it delayed? My mom always says this: delay is not denial. So it was delayed, but
Yep.
it wasn't denied. So I don't think I really mind that. I think I learned a little bit more because I didn't have the pressure of being in the moment. So now when I'm in the moment, I can live in those moments and still be effective. I don't have all of that um nervous, anxious energy because I've had some time to kind of work this craft. So when I show up, I can show up
Yeah.
professionally and not this person that was like just trying to get there. If that, I think that answered your question.
Man, no, it definitely did. That was a good ass answer. That was it. Uh, that was really good because you really kind of tapped in really all aspects of what it really looked like. Where was I guess my other question to you, just kind of curious as well. How did you keep the belief like alive during that time when it was like my external world is not confirming what I believe?
Say it one more time.
Yeah, I was saying DW, like how did you keep the belief alive during a period when the external world was not confirming it? You know what I mean? Like, was that just
Yes, I guess the thing is if I had no other opinions. I didn't have any other
mm,
opinions but my own. So like when I put out a line, or if if I make something, I'm asking my wife, come downstairs and look at this, see what you think. I had none of those
yep.
moments. So the thing is if I believed it worked, it's gonna work. You know what I'm saying? I had none of the outliers. I didn't have social media saying, oh, he picked the wrong two colors to put together, or none of that. So the thing is I didn't have that backlash and or hurt from people opinions and what they didn't believe it would be. It was just me. So I figured out when I put it out, I'll ask them, but I knew some of it was definitely dope.
Mhm. Right. From the get-go. Um, my next question, speaking of your sketches, right, and kinda your drawing or not drawings, but your sketches in general, you told me kind of offline that you stopped drawing sketches years ago because you found that it limited your creativity, and rather, instead let the fabric guide you. Right, you work with the material, what the material wants to become, rather than imposing and playing on it. Right. But most people would assume that kind of creative discipline means more structure, but you found it meaning less. What did you learn, DW, about creativity that changed how you work, or in that process specifically of not drawing sketches
So
beforehand?
I think drawing, and now I don't want to speak against illustrators. So let's just make that disclaimer. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not speaking against
yeah.
illustrators, but the thing is I learned when I was drawing, you kind of sometimes your imagination is limited to what you have saw, to things that you've seen. So I would draw things that looked or mirrored something that I saw before. When I would grab fabric and just go for it, I mean, I might have a leftover piece of scrap on the floor, and it looked like, oh, that looked like it could be like a
Hmm.
abstract lapel. So I would just grab it up off the floor and sew it where the lapel is supposed to be. And now it's totally different. So the thing is I guess what your question is, what did I learn?
Yeah, like what did you learn about creativity that changed how you work, in comparison
Yeah,
to, not
I
always scripting?
I did not desire to be in a box. Like, and I think, yeah, I could draw a silhouette that Christian Siriano draws right now. I can go and draw a dress.
Hmm.
So I can look at that dress and draw it. The most creativity that I'm gonna have off of that, after drawing the same silhouette that he just drew, would be a color palette. I didn't really want that. That's not what I utilize the books to learn silhouettes and structures, how to really draw the female body, how to draw the male body. I sat down for like 2 or 3 years and taught myself how to do that while I was at another job. And I learned, the kids be like, "Oh, Mr. D, you getting better." So I learned how to do that only to enhance the creativity that I knew was like waiting for those skills. So a lot of times you're so creative, but if you don't have the skill, then you really have nothing but creativity. So you can speak that into an AI system. You could talk to it. If you can, write a clear instruction, you can do that. But I didn't have those tools. So I had to learn the skill to embellish the creativity that I had. So that's really what I learned. Some skills you have to have to tap into whatever the purpose is. So that's what I was trying to
Yeah,
do.
man. Yeah, you ain't right, man. When you said if you can't, what do you say? You said you have skill and creativity. Without skill, it's just creativity, which is
Yeah.
still left there.
Yeah, you
And
just
also too,
left.
you're speaking of.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was saying too, like, freedom is ringing loudly right throughout your process. You want free range, um, no governor, if you will, right, on the
No,
creativity. Because I think you're right. I think if you get locked into one box of thinking, you kind of lose all the resource that you could grab at, or accept, or use, um, and you kind of put it to the side if you put a governor on your mindset. So I guess, long story short, I would agree with you that, hey, like, be creative. Don't put anything to limit or hinder that creative process. You want to use all, systems, processes, thinkings, thoughts, feelings to drum up what you're trying to create.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I was just
So
look, this is can I share this? I was just with one of my
yeah, go
friends.
ahead.
One of my friends, Jordan, you know him. I was just with him, and we drove around and saw some of the properties that he's building. And
Yep.
at first I wasn't looking at it creatively. Not at all. I'm like, it's a house. Like, whatever. What are you talking about?
Right. That's one
And
wall.
then he started saying, "Well, I know you could do better than that, DW. So what else do you see?" So then I saw a lack of a porch. I saw a lack of a gate. Oh, maybe if they had a like white picket fence, or if they kind of put the numbers on the side of the house. So the thing is he literally confirmed what I've been thinking the entire time. Like, just because a person can build a house don't mean that it's gonna be desirable. It just looks like a
Yes.
house. So the thing is I could make a blazer, or do I make a blazer that's desirable? So it just really made me understand even my thought process. Like, th- so some things you use and you don't use them corporately. So I wasn't using that corporately when I was talking to him, but then I thought about it, was like, well, yeah, you could put some brand,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
brush right here, different things right here. So you have to. The skill, yes, learn the skill, but that creativity, when you can utilize the skill with your creativity, it's the
Yeah, that's
sky isn't
power.
even the limit. It's not. You can go
Yeah.
wherever you want to go. To Pluto or Mars if
Yeah,
you want to.
that's right. That's the fusion you need right there. Creativity
Yeah.
and skill. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you said that to Jay. I'm actually we'll be having him on the show as well, but it's
Yeah.
funny you're like, "This is just a house." But when you look at it, yeah, from a different aspect, a different perspective, yeah,
And
you
I
can
didn't
you can
even
dress this
tell
thing
him
up.
this. I didn't even tell him this. I just thought about it. Sitting in the car like, yeah, yeah, he's right.
Yeah,
But
you can do that.
I didn't think about it. I didn't tell him that, but I definitely thought about it. But anyway, on to the next question.
Yeah, that's conviction. Yeah, that's all right. Well, hey, well, that's good. Like I said, moving to my next point, man, I want to talk about really just the crisis, the pivot, right? Closing the store, which we'll talk about here in
Mhm,
a second. The pandemic, and really your idea of the seating shops where you were just selling a bunch of inventory,
mhm,
and how you kind of rebuilt yourself from that point. So, kind of going to that, right? In 2019, your wife had a major accident that really removed the dual safety income net that's been kind of holding the business together. So you close the physical store down, which most people in that moment would have walked away entirely or been emotionally depressed.
mhm.
What kept you from letting the brand die like in that season? Because that's a big moment, man. That's an emotional a blow for anyone.
Think I think during the pandemic, well, I know that during the pandemic, what I learned is some things aren't optional. Like, you can't I couldn't afford to give up on my brand because I had product. And my
Yeah.
daytime
Yep.
job at that point was selling clothes. So, like, I just thought in my
Hmm.
mind, people would think it would be normal for me to be selling clothes. So I ran the idea past my wife, and she was like, let's do a live sale. I made a flyer. And from that, sipping shop, what was it? Sitting shops were birthed. It was something that I was doing in the actual building. We was doing sipping shops, but I said, "Oh, wait, people sitting on the couch. Let's do a sitting shop." So I put a couch on there, put some people on the flyer, and I said, "Have a drink and shop with me." And the first one I think we did in a couple hours, we did like maybe like $2,100 from my basement. was shipping I was shipping close to my basement. So the next one was so big that I ended up having to hire someone. I hired a person during the pandemic, which was crazy. I hired a person, paid her really good. She got paid real good. I think she's making like
Right.
$150 a day, real good money. And we set up her and my wife. We set up a process. And that time we were able to implement shipping and the purchase all in one. The first time we was trying to contact the people afterwards, they was sending their money and no shipping, or sending their money and I didn't even know where to ship it to. So it just, I don't think, and some of these settings are because I'm a man with a family. I got a three,
Yeah.
I got it's a five family, a member
The
family.
members.
So it's five of us.
Yep.
So, like, in that setting, I couldn't afford to really give up my what stimulated it was is my girls aren't really, they don't really ask for stuff unless they need it. My son, if he needs something, he gonna let you know. So he hit me up. He walked in the living room and was like, "Hey, my PS4 just blew up," and I'm like, "It's the pandemic. This boy don't got nothing to do but play his game." So I
Right.
walked
Right.
in the
Right.
basement, and what really started the sitting shops, no lie, is I walked in my basement. I had leftover fabric, and I made 7 masks, and I posted them. And I said, wait, if people will buy these masks, they'll buy
Mm-hmm.
clothes. So I told my wife, and then, I'm circling back to how I told her. I told my wife, she was like, let's do it. And I think we did it on I said, let's do it on a Friday afternoon as soon as people get off work on a payday. She was like, yep, it worked.
That was it.
It really worked.
But for
Yeah, so
those who
I
are
didn't have the
listening, for
option
those
of
who are
giving it.
listening, just real quickly, W, for those who are listening and tuning in, like when this drops, man, one thing I want to say is I love your execution. Not saying it's like it has to be perfect, but you take an idea and like it's let's act on it. You know what I mean? Like just hearing that
Yeah,
story, you're like, shoot, I'm gonna head downstairs. Let's do this. I'm gonna make this mask. Boom. But it was so quick. You know what I mean? There was no friction.
yeah,
There was no slowing the process down. Like even what you were telling your stories earlier, it was like, yep, I got this idea. Like I don't know what's gonna be perfect. I don't know what the results gonna look like, but
mhm,
I got an idea and a vision. Let's work with it. Let's run.
yeah,
So I love from your entrepreneurial background. For those who are listening, those who are entrepreneurs, just to see and hear your conviction. You pick an idea up and just run with it. Right? You're not waiting around.
yeah.
So I
But
want to I respect that. I appreciate that.
I appreciate that too. First of all, that's something from my wife because she like analytical and she think of all these ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to jump on something and do it. That's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
not my personality for real. I'm really like when it comes to doing stuff, I really be like, I don't know, but she'll be like, let's just do it. So that really comes for her. But the thing is you just never supposed to stop. And I think people get comfortable where they are. Like I was just watching a lady
Up, I might have lost you there. I think I lost your audio, but I'll wait till you come back on. Oh, we're back. We're back live.
my phone got too hot, man.
Hey, that's it was picking up on what you was about to say. Uh,
Yeah, that's so funny.
but hey, we're
I
back
didn't
at
even
it.
know where we was at, but
I'll catch us back up. Really, what you were about to talk about, um, because I asked you, I was just letting you know. I mean, I appreciate you. You act on an idea, right? You execute right when you get it. You were saying about your wife really kind of helps you in that process,
it's for real. So she comes in, stand back a little bit because I still got that hesitation.
right? Also, DW, can is your volume?
Can you hear me?
It's a little faint. But I can hear you.
So, can you hear me still?
There we go. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You're good.
All right.
Also, too, this might be good just for those who, entrepreneurs and people that are tuning in that may have lost something. Speaking of the store, what did losing the physical store, take from you emotionally? Like, what did you have to maybe grieve about through that chapter, if anything?
I don't really know that I grieved it. It was a decision that we made for our family to be able to be stable. Like you spoke about earlier, I shared with you that we had lost that two family income. My wife had went through a major surgery. She actually went through two more the consecutive years following that. So the thing was is that I had no time to grieve that. But a lot of times things are just in your life for a season and
Mhm.
you have to realize what that reasoning is and learn the lesson from that. So
Yep.
I learned a lesson from that. It was to stimulate that creativity for me. It wasn't to build customers, it wasn't to do
Yeah.
all of that. It has served its purpose. Now will I do it again? Yeah, it's the time. But I think a lot of people look at loss and sometimes loss is the gift. And you have to take it for what it is. So like you lose in a business. I mean, millionaires lose business all the time. Do they stop being business people? No. Do they stop being millionaires? No. They figure out a new path. So the thing is, I had to figure out and create a new path. So that's what I did.
Yep. Man, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Mindset.
Yeah.
What I guess also speaking of your shops, right? You had the concept. Was there something that you were surprised about how people responded to that format? And I know this was like 2020 around
What?
that time.
What? The whole process was crazy to me. I could not. Literally, I'm sitting on live. This in real time. I'm sitting on live selling pieces. I'm also calculating what I purchased them for,
Mhm.
what I recreated them to be. I'm doing all those numbers, selling them, and some of them items was going nuts. And I'm sitting up like, and I got to keep a straight face. I was going crazy. Like I couldn't believe it because it
Right.
it was more so like I was saying, in real time, you get to live through those moments.
Yep.
I was living through that moment in real time in front of people. I
Yeah.
mean, they sharing the live. It's 20, 30 shares. It's 100 people on the live. Like, people mad because I didn't keep going. They inboxed me, was like, do you got stuff left over? I seen some in the live. I want this. So, like, it was. it was crazy. It was like nuts. No, yeah,
Yeah, they was like animals. They said, "I need that. Eat
nuts.
it." Well, I wanna talk about your once again your mindset because you described your approach to setbacks and staying really logical rather than emotional. Making decisions based on reason rather than how you feel in that moment.
Hmm.
So for someone who operates, in the most emotionally driven industries, being fashion in the world, that is obviously a specific kind of discipline. I guess my question to you, the DW, is like, how do you actually practice that when the emotional weight is real, right? Because there's going to be times like closing a store or things going crazy to kind of handle that.
I always, I do a lot of me and my younger sister, we do
Mhm.
a lot of self checks, and we always say, this isn't really a characteristic that a lot of people have, but I self check myself a lot, and like I'm always thinking, like, is this an emotional response or is it logical? So
Mm,
that's my always. So like I may me and you might get into a heated conversation. I might take a couple days to process that because at the end of the day, my relationship with Koi is a little bit more valued than this moment.
yep.
So the thing is, so do I respond right now when I really want to cuss them out and call them all these crazy names? Or do I wait a couple days and figure out what I really want to say to him? Like, hey, I really didn't like what you said, but I
Exactly.
mean, we not gonna be we still gonna be cool after this, but I just want you to know that I really wasn't digging that. So the thing is you also have to lead life like that. I can't walk in a business meeting with some investors and ask them for $1 million. They tell me they only gonna give me a half a million, and then I just blow up and act
Well,
crazy. So the thing is I'm
mhm.
always practicing for the next step. So the next step could be somebody gonna give me 2 million and I'm really only asking for 1 million, but I got to be able to take this 500,000 and flip that in order to even get to the next spot. So the thing is sometimes we don't understand that your actions don't only affect this moment, they affect the moments afterwards too. So I will hold off how I'm feeling because I validate my feelings. You really don't. So I'll hold off on my feelings for a while before I say something because I really want to be able to articulate to you in a, professional and a respectable manner. Unless it's somebody I don't really,
Right, exactly.
cool with, So that's really how I lead life and business.
Telling you, man, you dropping gems. I hope people picking this up because that's really a lot of emotional intelligence, um, just your mental demeanor, how to carry yourself, and
Hmm.
very professionalism, how to know how to respond, not like you said, not react, without you really kind of
Yeah.
really responding to situations.
Hmm.
And the I would say lesson in that is that knowing that your decisions now have an effect on the back end, right?
Definitely.
Aftermath can start today. So knowing how to
Yeah.
address situations, and understanding the magnitude of the moment is bigger than
Hmm.
what's happening right now. You know what I mean? The emotions, maybe what you want to say, and hope.
Yeah.
So once again, man, you're dropping some nuggets for those who are tuning in. I'm picking them up too. Real quick, if you've been searching for a style that feels intimately yours, DW Styles is designing for you. Every custom piece is crafted by hand right here in the Midwest, letting the premium fabric guide a silhouette made for your specific moments. Stop settling for off the rack and step into clothing that treats fashion as a personal love language. Visit shopdwstyles.com to start your custom design journey today. Real quick, I want to tell you about something I created because honestly, I needed it myself. For years, I could visualize the life I wanted. I could talk about it, write about it, even teach pieces of it. But living it, that was different. There was always this internal friction, like a part of me was trying to grow, and another part of me pulled me back into what felt familiar. And I realized I didn't have a motivation problem. I had a safety problem. My nervous system didn't know how to feel safe inside change. So I wrote the self-discovery blueprint, not as another productivity guide, but as a way to create internal conditions where growth doesn't feel like a threat. It's grounded in neuroscience, polyvagal theory, belief reconstruction, and everything I've learned from studying consciousness and embodiment. It's for people who know there's more in them, who can see it, but haven't quite trusted themselves to step all the way in yet. And I'm giving it to you free. No email gates, no upsells, just a tool I hope serves you in the way writing it served me. Check the show notes, download it, come back to it as you grow.
Cut it out.
Talk about New York Fashion Week, right? Let's get back to the fashion here, right?
Man,
Like a lot of things for you as you spoke offline, kind of what it felt like to walk in that moment, walk in that room, and for the first time feel like you belong, right? For all the years you've been doing it.
yeah.
So getting to New York Fashion Week required $1,700, right? As you told me, published photos from prior shows, last minute angel sponsors, and years of foundational work through smaller shows. And really, that was really your runway up, spending and doing all the time that you had to do to get up to that. When you walked into that room for the first time, what did you actually feel when you were in that room in New York?
Like I told you before, I felt like I belonged.
Mhm.
And it was a long time coming. Just think about, like, we've talked about this through the entire conversation. A 12-year-old now 40, 30 years later
Yep.
and feeling like, oh, this is where I belong. I had independent shows and everything, like,
Yeah,
but
you
in that moment, I really was, and I had prayed to God and I was like, God, because I get to settings and my younger sister, she always tells me this, Geneva. She said, we're all in awe in
Mhm.
the moment, and then you like a week later processing it. But I told you this is what I do. She like, you're processing this a week later, and we like, what's next? We like,
Exactly.
we're all over that. Like we was hype and kudos and everything. That was the first time in my career that I actually was in a moment, and I was like, God, like actually living it in that moment. And I had prayed to God, like, God, just let me be prepared. Like I was done with the line early and everything. And when I got there, I just felt like, man, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then to hear people respond that to me, like, where you been at all this time? Like, you
Exactly.
supposed to been like, your line crazy. Like, what is this? Like, this can't be your first year doing this. And my wife was like, you should have told them, like, you've been doing this forever. I said, babe, the work speak for itself though. Like, I don't gotta tell these people. They see it. They know I ain't just wake up last night and make this. Like
Exactly. Like,
they know this
they see
been
the work.
curated over time. Like this is not just a skill at this point, this talent, and this is what I'm gifted to do. Um, I felt like I belonged. For a long story short, it was belonging. Yeah, that's what it meant.
That's funny. You're telling your wife. You said, I didn't just pop out and just show up. I've been doing this."
Yeah, they know it. She
Yeah.
like, tell them you just did such and such. I'm like, babe. She like, all right.
Now you trying to be humble. Trying to be humble.
Yeah.
So you described New York Fashion Week, right, as the first time you felt, kind of fully affirmed as a fashion professional in the room of peers. You also said that it clarified, that this is really a lifelong pursuit, right? That, the experience you shifted from playing, at fashion talk, well, playing in the field to actually taking it fully and seriously. What is the difference between those 2 modes from the inside? Because I know we talked offline how you felt like you kinda playing around, right? There was this period of time like, "Man, you've been doing this, but, like, it's time to take it to the next level and really
Mhm.
get into it seriously." I guess what was maybe the difference between those 2 modes of your thinking from the inside?
I think I don't know that it was a difference in thinking.
Yeah.
I think it was a difference in action. So like I think I just shelled out a little bit more than I normally would.
Yeah.
And kind of shocking myself. Like it was things I go downstairs to make like 4 or 5 different outfits when it was taking me like, I would stop because I'm tired. Because again, I work in the daytime and all that. So I think it was just a difference in my action, and I would say discipline. I think I was a little bit more disciplined when I started taking it. And I think I had always been taking it serious, but I don't think. Well, I know now that my actions weren't really showing that.
Yeah, it wasn't
So
reflect.
like I was having a lot more internal battles than I was like succumbing to
Mhm.
after I kind of switched it on. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of us, feel that, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like you're either, there's a little bit of fear. There's a little bit like, what if I really go all in and I really fall on my face or like I'm not what I think I am or
Mhm.
whatever it is, right? You're just scared to step out fully to really give all yourself. You kind of like hold back a little bit, like, well, I'm good right here, but I don't want to get too uncomfortable if I really,
Right.
really, really put it on. You know what I mean? And it doesn't go the way I want to go. Um, my next question for you, DW, is talking about fashion. You described it really as a love language, and I love that you put this as we spoke offline. Really, as something that's intimate, kind of trust based, and
Mhm.
deeply personal. Right? Clients are allowing you, into something that's private, right? When it comes
Mhm.
to clothes and letting them dress them, right? So there's a level of access that takes time to earn.
Mhm.
What have you learned about how trust actually builds in this industry that most people outside of fashion would never understand?
So I like back to what I said when we were offline. That the thing is I don't think people look at that as intimate. They don't
I
see
yeah,
that. Yeah, they don't see that. A woman doesn't really let you come in and see what their flaws are,
yep, yep,
or used to be. Like they don't want you to see their scars. So like it's a journey that you done went on with somebody, and to be able to conquer that, then you can help a person do whatever you kind of and wear whatever you really want to wear. I don't think people understand that clothing is intimate. I don't think that they understand that the power of what you wear to
mhm,
certain events. I don't think that they understand that if I go to a gala and it's not an urban gala, that I can't wear shorts and things of that nature. Like people don't identify with what clothing. I learned a very long time ago that the way you look speaks before you ever even enter the room. So
mhm,
that could be if you're groomed correctly, because you
yep,
could be a dirty bum and have a nice haircut, and they gonna be like, dang, DWO haircut kind of fly. That's what they're gonna see. So the thing is I don't think people understand what they're saying without actually speaking. And your clothing is doing that for you. So if you go in the if I go in the room with a governor and it's a setting where I should
mhm,
have a suit on and I got a t-shirt and some jeans on, like, is he really gonna listen and talk to me? Is
yeah,
anything I'm gonna say to him valuable?
yep,
So the thing is that you have to be aware, but sometimes your clothing, like I could look like $1 million and walk in the room, somebody might give it to me.
facts,
Cause they might think they donating to somebody that got it. They might be thinking we passing pennies. This really a life-changing event.
yeah,
So then the thing is I learned too when I was doing interviewing when I was younger, you're supposed to look like the role that you want.
yeah.
I don't think a lot of people think of that when you think of clothing. It's so far from their thought process that they don't get it. So
Or
I
don't
I
care,
huh?
or don't care.
Or even have the knowledge to care, because some of it is just ignorance.
Yeah, yeah, not
They just don't even understand the process. So I think clothing has taught me that, and more so with my work with women. Cause guys, you can like once you kind of cool with a guy, I can tell a dude to put on anything, they gonna put it
right,
on.
right, I
But
got
a woman, there is some work that you have to do to get to that point. And I learned that in a lot of the fitting rooms and different clients that I worked with. I hope that answered your question because I feel like it was
no,
I
no,
went awry.
no, you gave a good answer to that. That answered my question because, to your point, I think a lot of women, which is aware in our society, there's a lot of body, um,
Dysmorphia and
dysmorphia, right?
mhm,
Like, of all sizes, right? Don't matter
mhm.
big, small, it doesn't matter. Like, women go through that, and I think men go through that, but women specifically, to your point, that's where I think a lot of trust comes from. And when you said it's intimate and you gave an analogy about my wife, I was like, dang, that's true. Like, I know she may have insecurities and you ain't just walking in someone's house in their closet like, look, let me put this on you, do this, do that. Like it really takes a level of trust,
Mhm.
um, and catering to their body, right? Making them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotional thing. I think things that happen behind the scenes. When you said that, and I was like, damn, that is so true. And I never thought about that when you said it.
Yeah, it definitely goes on. People don't I've had women tell me their entire life story after I dress them. I've had women cry in the fitting room after I dress them. Like oh my God, like your wife gotta love you. Like she really don't. I be driving her nuts when it go to this. Like,
Right.
don't tell me what to wear, and then she like, oh, it was cute later on. But yeah, the thing is like you have to power through that. And a lot of times when people don't understand, looking in the mirror sometimes tells you some things that you're really not ready for.
Hmm.
And a lot of women aren't ready for that. And then when they're not prepared, they don't know how to transition from that. So my job was to help them transition. Like you can be 1,000 pounds,
And still be
but
look.
I'm gonna drape something on you and make somebody be like, hey, that girl fine. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just that, you have to get past that moment of intimacy, and it's just like when you build a new relationship. There's
Mhm.
process, it's steps, unless you just mess with somebody that is just out here. But it's steps before you even get to that point. So the things is knowing those steps and helping them guide themselves through it, and then you kind of make it work.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. Just curious too on another level, have you ever lost a client? Like, and if so, like, what did it teach you about, I guess, what trust requires? I don't see you
I've
losing it,
I've given I've given clients away,
yeah, that's
but
what I assumed.
I haven't, I don't think I've ever lost a client. Only if it was like in the like the transactional part of it.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times people want certain things from you, and then when you give them a price on it, they're not willing to pay that.
Exactly.
And sometimes when you know a person too, sometimes relationship also comes into play with that. So I would think some clients thought I lost them when I actually gave them away. 'Cause
Yeah, I dropped it softly.
mm,
Mhm. My
and that's not me being cocky or anything.
no,
That's just understanding the business. I get it. Like, because you know me as Darius, you might not want to pay me as DW. You might not want to pay the price for me to sit down and construct a gown for you. And I get that because you're close to me. We have proximity. So I get it. But that's a giveaway process. Hey, some of them you bought for $100. Some you might have bought for 1,000. But yeah, so losing a client, no, I say inexperienced lose clients. I'm pretty experienced in this
yeah,
business, and I've actually gained clients by giving them their money back. So then they coming back again. So it's the way you do things.
I believe it, I believe it. I wanna move kinda the next segment here. Really,
Mhm,
that was, what we talked about offline as well, kinda intrigued about is your sustainability, kind of the world, as a customer and what you're building, right, with the Black Rodeo, which I thought was
mhm,
super dope, and, some other partnerships you're working on. So, you mentioned you're partnering with the Midwest Black Rodeo on
mhm.
that coincides with your birthday. So you got fashion, culture, community,
Yeah,
all in one event, right?
yeah.
Combination is very, specifically for you or
Mhm.
in general. What does it mean to build something that brings those worlds together in, like, your own backyard, all in one spot?
I always wanted to make some cowboy clothing. I used to sit up and watch cowboy movies, and I'm like, oh, I want to do the wardrobe for this movie. So
Yep.
doing this is kind of that for me. I mean, I haven't even bought the fabric yet, and the show is in July. So it's July 31st on the day of my birthday, and I haven't even purchased fabric. But some of those silhouettes are super easy. But to your question, to be able to build that in my backyard,
Yeah.
it really wasn't me, Coy. And a lot of things people always think it's your experience that brings you to places. I really prayed for this. I was asking God to like kind of put my name in different rooms, and these people called me out the blue and was like, "Hey, we heard your name and we kind of want to work with you." And I'm like, perfect. Thanks, God. You
Right,
know,
right. Yep.
things like that, in the moment, real quick. Thank you. I'm gonna pray about it later. But yeah, but that I guess for someone to come to your community, so and this isn't really my community. I just say that because I've been here like 20 years.
Yeah,
But
you've been here for a minute.
yeah, so for someone to come to your community that you reside in and say, "Hey, I want to work with this designer."
Mhm.
It was an honor.
Yeah, that was
So
big.
yeah, it was big.
Um my next question here was like, what has South Bend maybe specifically given you or given your brand rather that you do not think that maybe could have developed if you had started in New York or LA?
Um, Understanding that everyday people shop more.
Yeah,
I think because this is a smaller community, I was making extravagant pieces that were more so event based, and understanding that having some simple tees and maybe a fitted cap and different things like that, it made me understand the broader part of the market. So I think in New York, I would have been stuck on making gowns. I would have been stuck on, but here, like, it's different events that's going on. So like, I could sit down and make a jersey dress if you really wanted me to, or I could go and make a gown. So
yeah,
it gave me a gamut of different places to work. And I think a lot of times you get there in more smaller communities than you would, because in New York, I probably would have been the guy that people go to get gowns, or I would have been the guy that they come and get their suits tailored,
Mhm.
because people have certain people in mind. I think because I'm here, people just call and ask, "Can you do this?" And I'm usually not gonna tell you no. I'm gonna figure it out.
Right. And I think to your point, you get a broader market.
Mhm.
Yep, a broader market of your everyday, like you said, everyday folks, right?
Mhm.
You're not in this one small little niche on a 1% of certain people.
Right.
I mean, everyday people coming to you from all different ranges,
Mhm.
so you get a good nice little flavor of, all different backgrounds.
Right.
So you said you were working on a sustainability focused event with Goodwill, right? So I think the little black dress presentation, which they do here, I don't know when that is, but I know they do it every year.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, it's built around reuse and social impact. Um, and that is really that is fashion as a vehicle for something larger than clothing. Where does that sustainability conviction come, for you personally? Yes.
I mean, Goodwill is really where I started.
Mm,
Uh, for real. Looking for different pieces, and because I haven't really always been like, I want to wear what everybody wearing. So
yeah,
I got an identity for vintage clothing and different silhouettes from Goodwill. I bought my first and one and only ever Armani suit from Goodwill. It was like, what? Why not? And then once I started sewing, I went in the back and they have different types of fabric, so I grabbed a couple of different of those. But I'm guessing like being Goodwill is somewhere I've always wanted to work with. I always wanted to have, because I that's where I was at. It's the Midwest. Like, we don't got stores with Armani in it, or
exactly.
Louis Vuitton. You might walk in there and they got a real authentic piece. So that was kind of my segue into larger brands and identifying with them, if that
Yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
personal, right? You started there, right? So
Hmm. Yeah.
that was close to home. Speaking of just sustainability too, my next question, for you was like, what does it look like for the fashion world, to genuinely serve sustainability rather than just performing it? Like, how do you hold, and then for you too, like, how do you hold that line in your own work? Because traditionally, we all know, the fashion world
Hmm.
not good on sustainability or just in general for environment, right? With kind of uh,
So I just dropped off 4 bags of clothes to Goodwill. Honestly.
okay, yeah, yeah. You
I'm
about
probably gonna go back and buy some of them crazy. But anyway, yeah, I think actually practicing it, if people did it more, like, it would help. I don't think people understand that, because we don't live next to a landfill, so we don't really know what it looked like. But it's like so many clothes. I mean, and just because it's trash, you know what I mean? Somebody really know how to patch up this hole. You know what I'm saying? And can use it. And I don't think people understand, just because you don't want to be clothed in it anymore, that somebody else couldn't be.
exactly,
And then I really used a lot of the stuff that I get from Goodwill to do sustainability pieces, like to transition them into different things, which is how I was connected with Goodwill recently and did a show with them. So yeah, that's how I use it. I think people, it's more so like, if we don't do the cleaning of the world, who's gonna clean it?
exactly. And it's not like I said, to your point, it's not like you as the designer are doing it yourself, right? I think
Hmm.
I'm sure it's harder from a larger house, right? Fashion house to do so, or they may not
Hmm.
care as much. But when you're an individual, I think you have a little more control in that process.
Control.
Yeah, you have a little more
Hmm.
control. Yep.
Hmm.
So my next question, you said right, you've said the world is your customer, right? You built a digital presence on every platform to make sure DW Styles is findable by anyone, anywhere, which we talked about earlier, right? Anywhere they search it up, they gonna find it, right? Um, and you're now connected with sustainable fashion, which advocates, internationally. What does like the 5-year version of this brand look like if everything you're building right now compounds the way you believe it can? That's a big question there.
My 5-year plan. This crazy. I think my 5-year plan is all over the place. It's a little bit, it's crazy. But you do everything. My sister, my younger sister, I told you we talk a lot.
Yep.
She hit me with, you do one thing towards your business every day. So that's my thought process. I attempt that. I'm probably at about 4 a week, but yeah. So my real plan is finally I want a style slash sewing
Mm-hmm.
academy. I think that could possibly be built in maybe 2 years because I'm doing some things to get funding now. So I would want a styling slash sewing agency because I think they go hand in hand because it worked for me. So that might not be everybody process, but I think it's some more people out there that kind of think like me. So I would want a styling slash sewing agency. And then I really want to be my own manufacturer. So that's probably like 5 to 7 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to manufacture my own clothing. And I think at that point, I'll also be able to breathe back into the school with all of these new designers that's coming out and teach them how to do your manufacturing piece and continue revenue. So that would be like I would be creating them into customers.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Full
yeah.
circle.
Yeah,
They
so
want
I
to
would like to be able to do that because I think my if I had have been a little bit more adventurous when I was younger, I probably would have been in like China somewhere and getting my own
mm-hmm.
brand. But because I tried to do it like grassroots type situation, like I don't really want nobody after me to go through that. And I don't want them to think that they have to pay all of these astronomical prices
Yep.
to get their clothing. Like when I was doing this and trying to deal with manufacturers, they was talking about an MOQ of 200. I don't have 200 customers that's willing to buy a pair of jogging pants. So I don't want 200
Right.
pairs of jogging pants. It's not advantageous for my business. So I would want to be able to supply smaller MOQs because light drops, if you see it with different companies, light drops really work. So you drop 3 items and sell them out, and then you drop 3 more, so that's small capsules is what they kind of call it. I would want to be able to create that for, so my 5-year plan is helping others, uh, the sewing school slash sewing academy, and a manufacturing company.
Yeah.
That's my 5-year plan.
Just hey, really quick. What's MOQs? I'm assuming with orders, that's amount of.
Yeah, it's basically the word for it's the units that you would purchase.
Okay.
it's
That's
a it's a
I assume so,
abbreviation
but
for
for
that.
someone listening like myself, I was like, "Man,
It's
MOQ, you dropped this, like,
abbreviation, yeah.
I'm in the industry." So, I had to make sure. But no, to your point, manufacturing, once again, I'm curious too, 'cause my own personal things, I wanna get in some other avenues with manufacturing. Do you need for your vision, do you need a big facility? Or, like, can it be a pretty relatively small, you just need the funding for the operation?
um I think I might need about maybe like what's this? My house is like 2,000 square feet, so I would probably need like 5,000 square feet.
Okay, so not, yeah, not too,
It's
not some
not
crazy.
too big. The
Yeah,
biggest thing is having the machines in the place. So being able to kind of strategically place the machines in there,
yeah,
and then being able to move like that. But I'm now teaching myself through this company I'm working with how to run and work industrial machines. So
yeah,
I'll know.
yep,
Yeah.
perfect. What do you believe, like, one thing has to be true internally, in you? Maybe not in the market, but for the vision to actually thrive. Is there anything you think like, "Okay,
You
this."
gotta believe it.
Mm, yeah,
You have to believe it. And I think a lot of times people think belief is like every day you just know that it's gonna work out. Nah, that's not really how that works. You gotta have the faith to see through all of the poop that's on the floor. Like all of that. Just get through that. But just believe that it's gonna actually work out. And some days you might wake up and I say, I learned this from my homeboy, Mr. Clark, really valuable relationship. He's a little bit older than me, but he said you have bad moments, not bad days. So
mhm,
you might have a moment in that time where you really don't believe, but your core says that this is gonna work, and that's what you got to run with.
yes, sir. That's good. I love that.
Hang on. Before this episode goes any further, DW noted that when fashion generally serves sustainability, it becomes a vehicle for something much larger than clothing. If your brand, institution, or even event is looking to make a true community impact, bring DW Styles to your next project. From sustainable presentations with local partners to culture-driven collaborations like the Midwest Black Rodeo, DW brings global architectural intention to your audience. Connect for speaking, partnerships, or design collaborations at shopdwstyles.com.
All right, so next couple questions for you, DW, as we kind of wrap toward the end here. Just kind of recapping, man. You started at 12, right? Paying attention to something that most people walk past.
Mm-hmm.
Waited patiently for over a decade before building. Right? You taught yourself how to sew in a boutique. You navigated skepticism as a black male designer. You closed a store during a family crisis, and reinvented your sales model during a pandemic. And now you're building a brand that's reaching the world from South Bend, Indiana, right? Behind all of that, right? Behind that whole arc that I just went through, which is phenomenal to even hear. What do you know now about building your life on your own creative terms that you could have not have known when you were 12, just noticing something that nobody else seemed to see?
Hmm. Ooh, that's a heavy one. What do I know now? I know now that if I had have put in the work in at a younger age, I'd be at a different place. But that's hindsight, and it's always 2020. So I know that today. I know that if I actually watched a kid, the youngest kid to ever present in New York Fashion Week presented this year. He's 10. And I know that I could have been that kid. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah. I
So
totally.
I know that if I had put in the work, if I had have pushed it, um, and not just dealt with what people were saying, if I had pushed it, if I had told my mom to take me to Goodwill and buy me a sewing machine, she would have bought it. And if I had a pushed then, my family would be living different today.
Mm-hmm.
But that's hindsight.
It's 2020.
We'll just get there a little bit later.
Yeah, we're gonna arrive a little bit later, but
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
we'll be fashionably late.
Yeah, exactly.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Well, for someone who's listening to DW right now, right on the podcast when this airs, who has a creative vision that they've been really carrying quietly, just like yourself, maybe for years, and has not yet given themselves permission to build it fully, right?
hmm
What do you say to that person who's kind of in that
Uh,
scenario?
quiet the noise,
Mhm.
give yourself permission, and move forward. And never stop.
Yeah.
Don't stop. I mean, people are not gonna agree with your journey. They're not gonna. Not everybody. Because here's the thing: a visionary. Um, you were given a vision for this podcast because it was what you were supposed to be doing, Coy,
Yes,
not
sir.
what I was supposed to be doing, right?
Yep.
But then you have other people that's attached to what your vision is, right? Because now I'm attached to your vision because you wanted to tell my story, right?
That is.
The thing is you have to put yourself in that mode in order. You're gonna help some people, but it's gonna be some people that just don't give a dang on about what you're doing.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah.
care about it. So then at that point, does their opinion matter or not? My opinion of this show matters because I'm now a part of it, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's not a part of your vision. It was given to you for a reason. So either do it or throw it away.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That's a good lesson. That's good advice right there, man. Take it. Keep it simple. For people who want to follow you, man, where can people find you, DW? Follow your upcoming shows and get into your world.
Everywhere. DW Styles. Some platforms is DW Styles 28. Other platforms is DW Styles. Instagram is DW underscore Styles. On I think I got a TikTok is DW28.
Mhm.
I get everywhere. If DW Styles doesn't show up, put a 28 on the end because that's when I really started my 28th year of life. So put that on there and you'll find me.
All right, well, good, man. I'll like I said up for the guests, as you guys already know. I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Anything attached to your name, I'll make sure people can find you, get in
Mm,
contact with you. And those obviously in the fashion world or entrepreneurs that want to pick your brain, uh, can extend their hand out to you. All right. So my last question for you, as always, man, we're on the Life Is podcast, as you probably seen. So I always ask you, man, if I asked you, DW, life is blank, right? And that whatever you want to fill in, that word or phrase, what would you fill in on the back end on that? Like,
Life is what you believe it to be.
that is very
That's
true.
it. If you don't believe in it, it's not gonna happen. There's a scripture in the Bible. It says, "So a man thinketh that he is." If you think you worthless, you're gonna be worthless. But if you think you a millionaire, you're gonna be a millionaire. If you think you a designer, you'll be designer. If you think you Coy Brown and you're gonna be a podcaster, plus everything else, that's what you're gonna be. So if think,
Yeah.
but that's where God works in your mind.
Yep. That's a good way. That's a good way to end. It's your perception.
Yeah.
That's what you believe,
Yeah.
what you work toward, and that's gonna be your reality.
That's it.
So, well, like I said, DW, man, I appreciate the time. We went on a whole gamut, whole journey of your story.
You took us there, man.
Yeah, and I appreciate the time, man. Like I said, I'm super grateful, not only for you, but all the guests, to share your wisdom, your journey, your experience, and your heart, man. Because to be honest, everyone on this show, including yourself, you're doing great things, and I do believe in you. But there's also
I
the
appreciate it.
things, yeah, absolutely. There's things behind the scenes that people don't see, and I think that's the heart of why I want to do this show, like the how, what helped you build this architectural, um, life that you're living, that you built, and you're continuing to build. So,
Yeah.
with that, man, I just want to say I appreciate your time. Thank you for getting on here and sharing with us. So,
Thanks for having me, man.
yes, sir. And as always, man, we'll stay in touch and continue to create great work, and we'll look forward to the Black Rodeo show as well.
All right. Take care.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Yeah. Peace.
What DW showed us today is that the world does not hand you permission to build something meaningful. You build it first, stitch by stitch, show by show, platform by platform, and at some point the world catches up. He started at 12 with nothing but attention and a vision no one else could see. He spent years waiting strategically, learning patiently, and holding the belief that delay is not denial. And when he finally walked into that room at New York Fashion Week and felt he belonged there, it was not because the room made him a designer. It was because he had been one all along, and that room finally confirmed what was already true. That is not a fashion story. That is a coherent story. Till next time, I'll see you in the next episode. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Life Is podcast. If something in this conversation landed for you, a shift in perspective, a reminder, or something you needed to hear, don't let it stay there. Take it with you, put it to work. If you're ready to go deeper, I have tools built specifically for this journey, a self-discovery blueprint and a diagnostic designed to show you exactly where your foundation needs attention. Links are in the show notes. And if this episode added value, share it with someone who's building, leave a review, help us grow this community of intentional people doing real work. Remember, fulfillment isn't found, it's built. Life is art in motion, and you are the artist. Until next time, keep building.